Hello everyone, welcome to Talks at Google. I'm Kevin Velk, and today we welcome the cast and creative team behind Disney's Zootopia. So first I'd like to welcome Byron Howard, director, and director Rich Moore, producer Clark Spencer, Jennifer Goodwin, Katie Lowe's, Tommy Chung, and Nate Torrance, our voice cast. How are you guys? Welcome, guys.
It's a cavalcade of stars.
Welcome to Zoogle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Woohoo! And so thank you guys so much for being here today. Obviously, we're talking about Disney's latest animated film, Zootopia. And so Byron and Rich, you guys directed the film. Can you just talk to us about what the story was and the genesis of this?
Sure.
How did it all start?
How did it all begin? Well, okay, so 5 years ago, after I finished directing Tangled with Nathan Greno, John asked what I wanted to do next. And what you do when you pitch to John Lasseter is he doesn't want you to just pitch one idea. He wants to get an idea of what your interests are and what you're passionate about. So Nathan and I think, pitched 6 different ideas. And one thing that all those 6 ideas had in common was this idea of anthropomorphic animals, which are animals that walk upright and wear clothes and use cell phones. And he got so excited about the idea that he literally hugged me and picked me up off the ground and lifted me into the air like baby Simba. He's very strong. He's a strong man.
A mighty man.
So we knew we had something that John was interested in, and because he grew up on Wind in the Willows, which is a film from like the 40s or 50s, and I grew up on Robin Hood, and I think, Rich, your first film.
Grew up on The Jungle Book.
Jungle Book, that's right, that's right. So we knew we had this great Disney legacy to build on, but we didn't want to do something completely new. So we did a year of research, including going to Africa. No kidding, they sent us to Africa with 15 of our leadership to do research and nearly get eaten. Our cinematographer.
Why didn't you go, Katie?
Should have gone.
Would you have loved to go to Africa?
Yeah.
The bugs.
Katie's already
Oh my
complaining.
gosh.
The smells.
Yeah. Our cinematographer got bitten by multiple animals, including like a zebra and an ostrich and a cheetah.
Pounced on by a cheetah. Yeah.
But we care about your entertainment. That's why.
We'll put our lives on
ourselves
the
in-
line.
That's right.
To bring you comedy and heart.
That's right.
And so, Rich, when did you come onto the project? Because you were probably on Wreck-It Ralph when this started.
Yeah, I was. Wow, that was 5 years ago. Well, I'm a member of the Story Trust at the studio, which is all our colleagues, the directors, writers, and heads of story, and we help each other with our films. We're there to support the other directors, and I had been kind of following this one, and there's some that you follow more intimately than others, and I had been following this one from the beginning.
From the early part, yeah.
Back when it was a spy movie.
That's where it started. It was a spy movie when we started.
with
Little did we know
animals.
that's what it would evolve into.
And so I'd been kind of with this one from the beginning as a support, system, part of the support system. And there was a moment about a year and a half ago, as these movies always have like a bump in the road, and this one was a pretty big one where we wanted to try switching the main characters or the protagonists, because for the longest time, Nick, the Fox character, Jason Bateman's character, was the protagonist. He was the main character, and the story was just not coming together in that way. So we said, why don't we try flipping, Judy and Nick, and let Judy be kind of our eyes and ears coming into this new world. And lo and behold, the story just kind of laid out, at our feet. And we're like, oh, great, we figured it out. But, oh, great, now we have to make all these changes, and we only have about a year and a half to get this thing finished. So it was obvious it was a 2-person job. And John Lasseter said, could you jump? You know the movie pretty well. Could you jump on with Byron, and see it through to the end?
Clark, does this freak you out as producer when they say, let's just start over and flip the story around?
It's interesting. You realize the most important thing is telling a great story. And so definitely in that moment, you think to yourself, are we really going to be able to turn this around? But what we try to do, and we do it a lot in animation, is we very quickly make a new version of that film. And I always feel like we have the other version sitting on a shelf over here. Let's go experiment, because we need to know for sure whether this is the right idea or not. And when we did it, we turned it around in about 6 weeks. You could just see this was the right way to go. You really fell in love with Jennifer's character right away. You were rooting for that character, which is the thing we were struggling with Nick's character, because he's a cynical kind of a character. It was really easy to get onto Judy's side, and it just felt like it was the right thing. So at that moment in time, you just start working with the team
And we
figure
said,
out how to
please,
navigate it
Clark,
all.
please, can we do it this way? Please, can we have some money?
Just a few more million, please.
It's gonna be
Just a
so
little-
good.
just a little
Jennifer
million.
likes it. Nate's on board. Come on.
And I had to.
Yeah.
Well, and your wonderful voice cast here. So,
Yes.
Jennifer, we'll start with you. Describe your character, Judy Hopps, as a bunny.
Yes.
And so, when were you pulled into it, and describe your character?
When was I pulled into? I was pulled into it. I mean, it didn't take much pulling.
Yeah. Because you're a huge Disney fan, right?
I'm a Disney-phile. Yes. I mean, by the way, this is a true story of my getting cast. I was in Mickey Mouse pajamas, and I was pregnant with my first, and I was in my kitchen, and I had a message from all of my agents, including my voiceover agent, and I thought I was being fired from a different job. Because I just assumed, and I'm actually a really, like, fiercely optimistic person, like the character Judy Hopps, but I was just sure that why would everyone call me at once unless they were trying to, like, soften the blow? And so in my Mickey Mouse pajamas, I turned to my husband and I said, oh, I'm getting fired from this other job. And he said, or, I swear this happened, he goes, or Disney's calling to offer you the lead in their next animated feature. And I was like, that's mean. Like, why would, don't do that to me. Like, I'm obviously getting fired and I need support and Kleenex. And so I picked up the phone and I, thank goodness, got everyone on the phone at once. And they said, Disney is calling to offer you. And I lost it for obviously positive reasons. And I said, I'll take it. And they were like, don't you want to know what the job is? And I was like, no, I want this to be legally binding. So just call them and say I'm in, and then you can call me back and tell me what it is. So yeah, because it's a dream come true. And I didn't stop crying for like a day. But that was like, I mean, I was pregnant with my first kid, so that was like 2.5 years ago at this
been a
point.
while, yeah. It's been the beginning.
And the character, Judy Hopps, is a bunny on the police force of Zootopia. She's the first bunny. She's been brought in by an integrative mammal initiative. And she takes her job seriously. She does not take herself seriously, but she's a bit self-righteous, which I appreciate about her. But like I said, she's fiercely optimistic. She's idealistic. She believes anyone can be anything. That like my dream was to be in a Disney animated feature, hers was to be a bunny cop on a force full of predators. And she moves to Zootopia from the outskirts called Bunny Burrow. And she is faced with the reality that not everyone, not only does everyone not live in the peace and harmony she assumed Zootopia was, but not everyone is even really looking to.
And were you excited when they decided to switch the main
When they said you are now going to be the star of the movie, I wasn't upset about it.
Did you call Jason up?
But I did when they did. I don't think I told you guys this, but when they did tell me, because they came up to Vancouver where I shoot a series once upon a time, and when I couldn't come down to LA to record, these guys and a couple of others were always very generous and would come visit me in Canada, and we would record up there. And there was a day we were like standing in the lobby going in, and I asked how screening was going, and one of you said like, "Oh, no one told you?" And I was like, "Told me what?" And they were like, "We rewrote the movie, and like you've got some more work to do." And I had to like not jump up and down because like who doesn't want to be told like, because I was having the time of my life, like you're going to do this a whole lot more. And I actually called my agents to be like, will you call, make sure that they weren't teasing me? Because like,
How much more does it pay?
It was a joke.
Do I get a raise?
Right, this is still legally binding. Yeah.
And then Katie, what I found amazing, which I didn't know, was that actually you've been in a lot of Disney movies. You were in Big Hero 6, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen Feast.
Yes.
And so now you play Dr. Honey Badger.
Yes,
right?
yes. I was brought into the Disney family a while ago, before Scandal. My husband, it's Take Your Husband to Work Day today because we're at Google and my husband's so pumped about it. Hi, Adam. And so about maybe like 7 or 8 years ago, I'm a waitress, I'm a babysitter, I'm a caterer, I'm all these jobs, and my friend worked at Disney, and she asked if my husband and I would like to come into Disney once a week and just do improv games that we would play in acting school for a bunch of different animators at Disney. And we did that for about 2 years, and we kind of got into the Disney family, thank God, through that. And slowly but surely, I was able to meet Clark and Rich and Byron, and and a lot of different people, and that's how I ended up auditioning and working and getting a part in Frozen, another part in Wreck-It Ralph, and then this part in Zootopia. And so I feel really lucky because it's like the best, coolest family place to work like ever. So that's how I'm here.
And Katie's job is amazing because she's with us like very early on when we're developing characters, and she'll do scratch dialogue for
Basically do
lots of
anything.
different characters, and because to have like these guys in all the time, I mean, we would burn out our actors if they're in there for every line that they need to deliver as we're making the movie. And Katie's really, really great at helping us develop the characters.
Thanks,
from the
dude.
ground up. Yeah.
And I think I also was I at the first table read for this? Wait, no, you were,
Yeah,
right?
no, you were,
I know,
I think, right?
You were?
Yeah,
I can't
Nate.
Because I think
remember.
Nate and Katie, yeah, I think you guys are the ones in the cast who really stuck from the very, because we do table reads. Once we have a first draft of the script that everyone feels pretty comfortable about, we'll sit down and we'll hire real actors, real talented actors, not just us, to come in and read the script through. And the hope with that is that you're going to discover a couple people who actually stick. And these guys, and Nate was there as Clawhauser, and he definitely stuck in a big way. We loved him. And then Katie was amazing. And so, and that's the way, even with what you did with Ralph, was that you had, I think you had Sarah, didn't you? Did you?
Yeah, Sarah and John and Jack and Jane, they were all there. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
No, it's a great, first opportunity to hear the voices of the characters, to feel them kind of coming to life off the page. I consider it like we talk about screenings that we do with the films. I consider like the table read like a first screening almost, just without the pictures.
And John and Ed can tell too, like our bosses, that like when they heard Nate, they're like, "Oh my God, you got to keep that guy! Oh, he's so funny!" And they're like, "Is he the guy in the Volkswagen commercial? Do you remember his Volkswagen commercial where he takes the test drive and he starts laughing like crazy?" Because when I first heard about Nate, Jamie, our casting director, said, "You know who would be great for Clawhauser is, have you ever seen that Volkswagen commercial where that guy just laughs his ass off and like, oh my God, you got to get that guy!" And so,
We can get him.
I know, that's the thing. Like we make our lists for these characters. We make our top picks we go through actors and actresses, and we look and we kind of make our wish list, like a Christmas list for directors. And the weird thing is that we got all our top picks on this movie. So when we were at the Hollywood premiere like 2 weeks ago and saw these guys assembled as a group, that was surreal for us because it is such a powerhouse acting troupe. It's amazing.
Well, then we'll go into Nate and then come back to you, Tommy. But Nate, I mean, your character's awesome.
Oh, thanks, man.
Officer Clawhauser. He is a cheetah, and just tell us about the character and his obsession with Shakira's
Yeah.
character, Gazelle.
I play Officer Clawhauser, who ends up, I'm the receptionist in the ZPD, which is where Judy Hopps is going to, start work. So I kind of become one of maybe her first friends. The crazy thing is in the first table reads, I was one of Nick's best friends. And then that switch over happened. Like, that's what's always so crazy to watch the story, change. But yeah, so I get to be her biggest fan, and then also Gazelle's biggest fan, Shakira. That's what's kind of funny. I remember, like, that was always, like, in the storyline, I was obsessed with this pop princess, and it was so fun to be like, I wonder who it's gonna be. Who they gonna get? So I'm lucky with Shakira. I'll take it.
What was it like meeting her at the premiere?
Did you hear what I did?
Oh,
I went,
what happened?
"Hi, Clawhauser," or Nate. I literally did that. I introduced myself as Clawhauser. It was like, "You're nice."
It's phenomenal. And so then, Tommy, you play Yax, the
Yeah.
yak. And so your character is ridiculous. And I love it. I love it so much. And
Well, it was kind of weird, when I got asked to be in a Disney movie. And then I didn't have to guess what kind of character I'd be playing. I'm noted for one, and the yak. Oh, he cracked me up, man. I mean, to be in a nudist colony of the animals.
and we were talking about this.
I just loved everything about it. But the thing is, with Disney and we go back a ways, because I got offered a role in Lion King and I turned it down.
Right.
Because I got kicked out of Disney Park once for wearing an obscene T-shirt.
All is forgiven, right?
Yes.
Well, it's a new generation, you know,
Right.
without doubt, you know.
So, can Rich and Byron, there's no segue, but Rich and Byron, can you talk about just the casting of these guys and finding, you know, Jennifer, and was it, oh, we have this crazy idea, let's do this, or you heard that voice, oh, let's write a character for that?
Well, we really work from archetypes when we look at our cast, you know, or our characters. You know, we needed a fiercely determined bunny, you know, and a sly, charming fox, you know, and they have to kind of be on the opposite ends of the scale. And the way that Byron and I like to work is just putting up like photos of people or characters or images of characters like that, like comparable, you know, people, and actors will just kind of bubble out of those photos, you know. And like Byron said, Jennifer and Jason were our first picks, you know, for Nick and Judy, you know, and we look for not just the quality of voice or how they sound or how they deliver lines, but it's the chemistry, you know, between them. And that's why we also will record together when we can.
Yeah, and I think it's really tough. I think these guys don't get enough appreciation, people who do voice acting, because a lot of actors and actresses can't do it, because I mean it's one thing to be photogenic and, you know, kind of a nice on camera, but when you're in a room by yourself and we're asking you to emote or make someone laugh or cry. Jennifer has this crazy scene in the film where she breaks down, and it's very genuine, and not everyone can muster that emotion. And so, it's even to be funny, like Nate and Tommy and Katie, there's something about that. There's an extra layer of talent that I don't think people appreciate, because we listen to a lot of people, honestly. For Rapunzel, for example, we listened to 300 actresses for Rapunzel's role and 150 for Flynn. Oh, wow. And this film is a little different because we kind of knew who we wanted to go after, and so we kind of made that sort of wish list. But it's incredible to see like how many people out there just kind of lack what these guys have in spades. It's an amazing talent.
Right, and can we talk about the environments? Because the environments are incredible, and Clark, I kind of want to bring you into this in terms of how you probably regulated that, because it's insane. I think the worlds just keep getting bigger and bigger with Disney. When you had, you see Big Hero 6 and you're flying over, San Francisco, and it's beautiful and amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And you see Frozen, and with the Frozen world and everything, with the snow, and then with this, I mean, you have Sahara Square, Tundra Town, Rainforest District, Little Rodentia, and Bunny Burrows. So can you just talk about dealing with that? It's a lot of environments.
How much does that cost,
all
Clark?
different.
Come on, Clark.
There were a lot of production people gritting their teeth, when they heard about this world.
It's always hard, but we start with the world. It's interesting. John Lasseter always says you got to take the audience to a place they've never been before. So even sometimes before we think too deeply about the story, we think about the world. And I think early on, Byron and Jared and Rich were really thinking about how do we do a movie like a talking animal movie like no one's seen before. And they came up with this idea that the animals should all live in their different districts. Like the cold weather animals live in Tundra Town, and the hot weathered animals live in Sahara Square, and the mice characters live in Little Rodentia. And you started to see what a great world you were building. So even though that meant it was going to be huge, from that standpoint, you realize, again, you're really going to support the story in an important way. And then, of course, all those characters are going to come together into the downtown part of Zootopia. And it really came from research, being in Africa and looking at the fact that there's a watering hole where all the animals come to every day. And around that watering hole, all of them get along. Giraffes are there with hippos and rhinos and lions, and then they go back to their respective areas after they drink from the water. And that kind of gave us the idea for this city. So it is daunting in some ways, but I think just like working with Rich on Wreck-It Ralph, we have to take the audience to a place they've never been before. We have to create something that makes what we're doing in animation and the use of the computers be used to their full capacity, and I think that's where it's really great to see what the animation community is doing today.
And there were even worlds within the movie that we couldn't include, because it's a 90-minute film, so we can only fit so much of the world into what we're showing you guys, because there were districts that we actually cut out. We had Outback Island, which was an Australian district full of weird animals with pouches, and you were saying it's a good pickpocket joke. Things like that. Would have been great. Maybe next time.
That would have been fun.
It would have been funny. And then we always talked about a nocturnal district under the city in caves and caverns. Wouldn't that be cool, right? Oh, it's cool. But there was no room, right? So we got to do another one. So, but honestly, the world is so big and the characters are so fun and compelling. We could have gone any one of 100 directions and had a really fun story. And it's just like when you pitch these movies at work, where we work with about 800 people all together on these films over a period of 4 or 5 years. And when you see an idea start to light up, and when you get the sort of the balance right and people start to come up with ideas on their own, they start to pitch you ideas, that's when we really know that we have something that's going to work, because that's what the audience is going to do. They're going to look at that and they're going to, oh, wouldn't it be great? And we see it on Twitter and Google and Facebook all the time, like with people kind of throwing in, like, hey, did you guys ever think of this?
The fan art that comes in, that
yeah,
they share with us on Twitter, it's so great.
It's amazing.
You know, that's how we knew. That's how we know that we're doing our job well. You know, when we begin to engage with, you know, the audience, and they begin to, their imagination starts to run wild, and they're, you know, drawing pictures and sending them to us, and that, as a filmmaker, that feels really, really good.
Yeah, we're very open. I mean, I get the feeling from Google that you guys are like this too, but we're very collaborative, especially with these guys. I mean, when we bring in the voice talent, we don't want them to just read off the page. We bring them in, we ask them to be in these films because of who they are as, not just their acting persona, but who they are as human beings, and the fact that they can ad-lib and bring humor that we wouldn't expect or can't possibly generate on our own. There's so much that, like, just these four right here brought to the film that wasn't on the page, and that's another layer of talent.
Where they get to the point where they know the characters better than we do, yeah, you know, and
totally.
Towards the end, it's just, we're just giving these guys a jumping off point,
yeah,
you know, to explore.
Yeah, you just let them go.
And can you talk about just your favorite scenes from the movie without spoiling it? Well, I do want to say too, the film is absolutely phenomenal, but the trailers don't show a lot of it, which was phenomenal. Because I went to the film and thinking I was going to see one thing. The slot scene is amazing. In full, by the way, the slot scene.
90 minutes of that.
It's just 90 minutes of that.
It could have been.
But it just takes a great turn at a point, and it's phenomenal. It's completely different than what I thought I was going to get, and it's a joy. But what was your favorite scenes, either do or just your scenes, the scene that you saw in the final cut that you liked the most?
My favorite two scenes are the mob scene with the little, Mr. Big. That kills me. You guys will know what I'm talking about when you see it. And my other favorite scene, there's this, when you get introduced to the world, like you're talking about, Clark, it's the first time that, Judy Hopps is on this awesome speeding train, and the Kick Butt Shakira song is blasting in her headphones, and it's just like you're seeing all the worlds that you just described, and it's like Disney it's just the best at what you guys, it's just unbelievably inventive and magical and something you've never seen. And I was moved to tears when I first saw it. It's
Katie
just gorgeous.
cries easily, I have to say.
So those are my two.
Yeah, and Jennifer?
My two favorites, it would actually give too much away, but I'll just say that my favorite two scenes were actually the ones that were the hardest for me to record. One of which being a very emotional scene that was mentioned a few minutes ago, because I am so used to being live on camera and having, my face and my body and costumes and props and things to help express something. And it was like, not only am I just having to use my voice to convey this emotion, but I also, at a point, I think, was blubbering and incomprehensible, and they had to pull me back a bit so you could actually hear what I was saying. And then trying to find a layer of comedy on top of that was something I hadn't really, I don't know, it was a balance I hadn't had to really strike before in anything. Like, I've either done, I feel, dramas or comedies. I haven't really been in something that was such a meld of those two genres. And then another scene that was my favorite, that was the hardest film, would totally be a giveaway, but it's one of those famous Disney emotional punch in the gut scenes that didn't actually involve as much of me as it was everything coming together once you have the animation and the music, and it was just, I'd give it away.
Yeah.
But it's really good.
But it's really good.
And Nate, were you able to improv a lot? Because you came from that. That was
that's my background, and that's what's cool is they kind of talked about it. It's so amazing when you get in an environment where it is collaborative. And they actually, I mean, you guys, they got in the booth with me. I don't know if I don't know if that, what was your experience, but that's. I mean, I haven't done a ton of. I've done 2 other actually series with TV or with Disney, animation wise. But the coolness of like reading with them and being, because it's kind of like prison in that way. It's a big glass wall, and you know you have they're like, great job. Okay, this like so you can have a little bit of a disconnect sometimes as an actor in the voiceover, but that they got in and you guys always were so. There were times where I just kept talking forever. I remember literally like I'd get them laughing and I'm like, I'm just gonna go for like 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, we have hours of you. We have hours.
It's a little ridiculous. No, but I will say specifically though, one of the cool things, which is a scene where with the cell phone. With Gazelle, where there's like I don't want to give too much away, but there ends up being something where that was a little bit like that, where we got to play and to see it come to fruition and make it, not that it's completely improvised, but you get to add a little bit to it. And that's always a cool thing as an actor to get to do.
How about you, Tommy?
Well, you know, I had a lot of experience doing Cheech and Chong albums. You know, alone, just Cheech and I and an engineer. So, you know, working with these guys was a piece of cake, you know, because that's what we did. We'd get in front of a microphone and just have an engineer, and then we'd just create with our imagination. And so it was easy. But when I saw the movie, I mean, I'm a big animation fan anyway, you know, because in fact, I had a nightclub in Vancouver, and we had a little party for kids. My brother's children had a birthday party, and we showed animated movies or cartoons, and the kids they watched it, but it was the adults that really got into it. And so we used to close the club down on Sunday and put on the animation and just laugh ourselves sick. And then play it over and over and over again. You know? And so when I saw this, it brought me right back to that world. Especially there's scenes, there's the wolves howling. Oh my God! I mean, and there are bits in this movie where I want to see. I can't wait to see it again, because I want to feel that humor, and the humor that in this, like a lot of animation, you know, it's the humor's kind of hidden, you know. But this one, it was out in the open. It was so crazy and so good, and my character, I just recovered from. In fact, I came out of the hospital. I had an operation, and I came out of the hospital. My son, who was my manager, he said, "We got a voiceover gig for you." And I said, "What?" I literally got taken from the hospital in the car into the recording booth. Oh no! And I'm standing there, and they're explaining the bit to me, you know. But like I said, I had all that experience with Cheech and Chong, so it was no problem, you know. To say this, okay, no problem.
Yeah, we're really merciless. We're like, you had surgery, get in here. We're cruel. Baby. Come on.
My God, I mean,
that was incredible.
Thank you for
doing
coming
that,
in
yeah.
those times. I mean,
anything for Disney.
Well, and with what I was most impressed with was right when the first kind of teaser trailer came out with the walk cycles of all the animals. So I kind of want to talk about what the technological hurdles were with this movie, because that blew my mind, because each animal had a different walk cycle, a different tendency, and the animators really seemed like they were using all those features. Like there was a great scene that I saw when Judy Hopps, Jennifer's character, was chasing after the weasel, and she was bouncing off walls and stuff, and the animators were doing a really good job with that. But just the animals, I mean, it had to be crazy to develop that. And you guys also just had a lot of amazing software, it seemed like, with FizzGrid, Bonsai, and XGen. So can you talk about just what was the next evolution in technology going into this movie. And
Yeah, well, maybe I
make
could
it
talk,
possible.
and then maybe one of these guys could talk about that a little bit, because I'll talk about the animation part of it first. Because one of the things that, and you guys are probably like this too here, when you get something that you're really passionate about, and it's a project, then it doesn't feel like work. And that when you give our animators, and we have about probably like almost 100 animators.
Yeah,
like
90,
90-ish
95.
animators. And so when you can give them something that they love, the work does itself. They will go to 150% on everything. And what we asked them to do on this movie was to not forget that these are all animals. They're not men in costumes. Don't think of them as guys walking around in suits. And they studied we have 64 different species of mammal in this movie, all different, all with different rigs, different body anatomy, different fur, different clothing, different scales. We tried to be true to the scale of the animal. So if a mouse is 2 inches tall in our world, then it's 2 inches tall in Zootopia. If a giraffe is 25 feet tall in our world standing on 2 legs, same thing in Zootopia. And so the animators geeked out. They just said, we're going to do this. And so especially with Jennifer and Jason's characters, the fox and the rabbit, they looked at hundreds and hundreds of hours of real fox footage and real rabbit footage. And you'll actually see Jennifer's character, she almost gets stepped on by a rhinoceros in the movie. And when she gets scared, she goes back to this sort of primal instinct, and this bunny behavior comes out, and she does something very specific that bunnies do called binkying. Look it up, you can Google it. See, I tied you guys into the thing. Of course you can look stuff up on Google. All right, anyway, you guys,
Have you heard of this
well
thing,
done.
Google?
I use you all the time. Anyway, but you can look up binkying, and you'll see exactly what Jennifer's character does, because that's why we have these geeky animators who love this stuff. And if you give them these projects, and especially we've done a lot of films lately with human beings. We've done Frozen and Tangled and stuff, and human beings are fine, but it's nice to kind of mix it up once in a while and give them something new, especially with this movie that had so much variety. They just really got into it. And do you guys want to talk about like the technology?
Well, and just the ability to render the fur on the character, the looks of them, and the grooms. And like you said, since Big Hero 6, we have this Hyperion system. It's a software that allows us just to output tremendous amounts of detail and information per frame, you know, when we render the film. And so for the first time, we were able to groom the characters, not using like a cheat, you know, on fur, not making it just this kind of stuff that looks kind of like human hair, you know. And on Bolt, you guys could barely pull off the scene of Bolt sticking his head out of the car window, and it was a pivotal scene in the movie, and it almost didn't happen because the tech department just didn't know how they were going to pull it off. And that was only 7 years ago, and now we have this system that we can groom the characters with hundreds of thousands of individual, you know, pieces of fur, strands of fur, just that are modeled to look exactly like they do, you know, in the wild. So our technology has just moved forward leaps and bounds in presenting a movie like this.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, just a couple of quick statistics. So Jennifer's character has 2.6 million hairs on that rabbit, 9 million on a giraffe. So that's a
Counted
lot
every
to
single
have
one of them.
to go into render. But the most
How many?
important thing is 9 million on a giraffe.
How many on Tommy's character, do you know?
Well, Tommy's character is
He's not even wearing
dreadlocked,
clothes.
So,
Yeah.
But you do see more of him. So there's more exposed.
But 64 characters, they studied each species fur under a microscope, discovered that a polar bear's fur is actually clear, that a fox's fur is dark at the root and it gets light as it goes to the tip, that there are dreadlocks on a yak's, that you could have an oily kind of look on an otter, so that every single fur groom is completely different. Every animal is a different shape and size, so we can't actually replicate those animals and just change the size of them and make it different. So you had 64 different models that had to be created, 64 different rigs that had to be created. Then we had to create shaders that would actually allow us to bring that, have light reflect the fur in the correct way so that we as humans see it in the right way. And again, with each type of fur being different, the way that light reflects off of the fur is different. So in every shot, they have to think about that for each individual character. And then we said the world had to feel alive, so we needed plants and trees, because that was going to be the most way to make the world feel organic. And we needed that throughout, so for us, we had to go in and get bonsai and look at the rainforest district in terms of the density of all of the foliage that is in that one area. And then on top of that, we said we wanted to have there be movement, because in any city there's movement. So we had to create technology systems that would allow us to move the leaves and the branches on the trees and have the fur on the characters actually move in a way that makes it feel, again, realistic. So you keep adding on. And then the last thing, which is huge, and you sort of take it for granted as you start to watch this movie because the characters are walking on too, but they all wear clothes. So every single character has a different cloth simulation that has to be figured out, and they're different sizes. So how does that skirt move on an elephant versus on a mouse, or how does the same thing for a t-shirt move on 2 different types of characters? So for
How
our
does it
team,
intersect with fur? Of
Exactly.
all those different kinds of fur.
So it was layer on top of layer on top of layer, and each decision was made individually based on what we thought was necessary for the world. But in the end, when you look at all of it, it was a little daunting. But again, as Byron and Rich have said, our team is so passionate about wanting to create great work that everybody goes into what they know and they figure it out for you. And it's a thing you just believe in, and we're so lucky to get to work with these talented individuals who will go to the ends of the earth to make it happen for you.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal. It's great to just see Disney pushing these types of films and just not, resting on your laurels. It's just great. So I'm bringing in Manil from our Google Photos team.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, get into it.
All right, so I get the pleasure of talking about a couple of really fun things we got to do between Google Photos and the folks at Disney for this movie. So we had a similar experience, Byron, as you had. So when I found out we were going to be in Zootopia, I went and found Sundar, our CEO, and I lifted him up, and I put him up there like
Nice.
Simba,
Nice.
and I said, we're going to be in Zootopia.
Make this a thing.
I know.
Lifting
Yeah,
people.
mine did not go so well. He's still not talking to me. But anyway, it was just such a great experience when we found out about this movie, and we knew we had to be a part of it because, if there's a universal truth, right, other than death and taxes, it's this. Humans and animals both suck at managing their personal photos, right? They take way too many sloths, take way too many selfies. Hippos always forget to take their phones out of their pocket when they have a bath, right? So we knew we wanted to be part of this movie and be able to help with those problems. And so in addition to having a little clip in the movie, which we really enjoyed, we also worked with Disney to create another sort of custom clip, which we're going to show now. Let's cue the video, please.
Oh.
Listen, we all love our phones. Every day we use our phones for this. Like, all the time. We take photos at every place, every event, and with every friend we know. You don't want to lose those moments, but hey, things happen. Phones break.
Bye-bye.
Or get dropped in the...
Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah, but it might be worse. Good thing there's Google Photos. Your memories are automatically backed up, always organized, and completely searchable. Wait, is that all your family? Oh, bunnies.
We are good at multiplying.
So no matter where you are, you can view your photos anytime. Well, almost anytime. Google Photos if you live in Zootopia. But if you live anywhere else, there's Google Photos. Disney Zootopia. In theaters March 4th. Rated PG.
Oh, that was very nice. Nicely
good.
done.
All right, so that was really fun. And then the other thing we got to do is we actually got to go ahead and have a little fun at the premiere. So we got to go down to the Zootopia premiere, which was a couple of weeks ago down in LA, and we got to actually go down and do some fun things at the red carpet. Now, this was personally, I think this was my 32nd red carpet event, 33rd, maybe. Actually, no, I'm miscounting, sorry. This was my first one ever.
Wow. Cool.
And so it was pretty awesome, right? It was a really great experience. You guys were even so nice as to set me up with a fake interview. I really appreciate that. I think this was The Onion, so I'm waiting for that article to come out. But it was just a great experience. And so once all us riffraff like me got off, obviously the real talent came on, and we wanted to have a little bit of fun. So what we did is we set up an installation to take photos. And so we went ahead and took photos, and Nate, try to control yourself.
Shakira, Nate.
We created an installation where we took photos from the vantage points of the animals. So here you've got what, if we were in Zootopia, we were taking a photo of Shakira, what it would look like if we were a lion. But what if we were a giraffe taking a photo of this event? It would look kind of like this, right? And you'd have that experience. And of course, this is what it would look like if it was a gerbil. So not quite the full scope, but we got to have a little bit of fun with it, with this installation. We got some great photos, of course, of Shakira. We, let's see here, who else we've got? Here's Jennifer.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So this was a fun experience. We didn't get to see the shoes as much. The gerbil didn't get much there. We've got, let's see. Okay.
The Idiot Squad.
Byron, is
great.
that your tux?
Yeah, man.
Is that your tux, Byron? With the shoes?
The leopard,
Fancy.
leopard tux. See?
Leopard
Yeah.
tux. It's
We don't
nice.
skimp. Your
Styling.
entertainment is important.
We got Nate.
Yeah.
Nate.
It rained.
Those
It
shoes.
rained on my shoes.
It was so
Those are
wet.
cool
It was very
It was a
rainy.
rainy day.
Everyone
Yeah.
was so.
It was not good for that way. Yeah. Okay, so this was
there's
Jason. We got some good photos of. We got Tommy.
yeah.
I don't think we could
There
get
he
Tommy
is.
to stand in one place for too long, so we couldn't get all 3 photos. So. And of course, we had Katie.
look at that.
Very
Oh,
happy.
Rose is there. There's Adam.
Oh, so that was bring your husband to work day too. And so it was a really great experience. All these photos are up on Zoogle Photos, so everyone can have a look and join the album. But it was a great experience, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be part of it. So thank you guys.
Thank you. That's awesome.
So we're gonna move to audience questions. If you guys want to head up to them. Oh, people are running.
I had a chance to see this at D23 with my younger daughter. She thought it was fantastic, or clips from it. And the question I asked there, I want to ask here, because I thought it was a great answer, was I saw a lot of things about unconscious bias in the clips that I saw, and that's a big topic here at Google. Was that just something you thought about, or coincidentally it worked out as something relevant now?
You know, it's oddly timely, this movie, and you know, it didn't start that way. But one of the things that came up when we were doing that year of research is we found a very interesting fact about the mammal world, and that's 90% of the animals in the mammal world are prey animals, and 10% are predators. And we actually say that in the movie. One of the characters says that. And we thought, that's really interesting. If you think about those two groups that are not equally balanced, if they've really stepped into the future and put this eating thing behind them a couple thousand years ago and evolved past it, and they made this incredible civilization, did they completely put aside that mistrust of each other that existed so long ago? And that was one of the major kickoffs of what the story became, and what actually became the main issue between Nick and Judy. Like, if you watch Jennifer and Jason's character, that's what they're struggling with through this whole film. And the fact that you see Hops, who is this amazing Frank Capra-esque character that has this beautiful core and wants to do something good in the world, struggle with something that she didn't know existed within her. It gave the movie layers, which I don't think anyone expected. And as we went through the story, it kept building and building and building. And we never set out to make preachy message movies. We hate movies like that. We want to just have people experience the films through the emotional journey of the characters. And so that's what we really appreciate about what these guys gave us, because the natural performances, and we have great writers. Our co-director, Jared Bush, and Phil Johnson, who is his co-screenwriter, wrote a very smart script, and we had to be very careful about what the movie was saying and how it was saying it. But it wasn't intentional, but we're glad it happened, and we're glad people are talking about it.
So I've seen the extended preview at Disneyland, and it looks so good. My family is so excited about it. I have a question for Jennifer. So you play Snow White on Once Upon a Time, and you recently said that you go to Disneyland every week.
Month. Well, yeah, once a month, which is
Once
still
a month.
probably not healthy, but.
Do you I know the feeling.
Let's not be crazy now.
Do you ever pretend to be Snow White when you're interacting with the characters there?
No, I actually leave the Snow White job to the ladies with the bobs and the like 40s red and yellow dresses. I actually, because our audience for Once Upon a Time are typically Disneyland goers, we sometimes go in disguise because, and I really love this, Disney actually, they don't want us to cause a scene because they want there to be.
Yeah, they give you escorts.
Right. Well, and but I feel like it's for such a cool reason. It's not like a Hollywoody reason. It's that they want the kids to gather around Mickey Mouse and to gather around, you know, Winnie the Pooh, and like those are the Disneyland celebrities. And I respect that so much because I gather around them too. And so we usually like try and be a little incognito at the park.
Hi, this question is for Tommy. So I grew up like watching your movies, and I saw you live in San Francisco about 7 or 8 years ago. It was amazing. My laugh, like I couldn't stop laughing. My face like hurt so bad afterwards. So my question is, how do you think your character is different from like the Cheech and Chong movies to like this character now?
What was the question? How is this character that you're playing now a little bit different than when you were in your Cheech and Chong?
Well, not really. I'm a yak. That's about it.
It's the T-shirt. He doesn't wear the
And he's
T-shirt.
naked.
What you saw was me, and our characters too. You know, we Cheech and I would find the most ridiculous, weird characters that we could find that were real, that everybody saw every day. And that's what the strength of this movie is, that you know what this movie really did to me, I mentioned it before, is that it made me appreciate humans more. Because instead of having one view of what a human should look like, this movie showed you that humans come in all sizes and shapes and beliefs and tribes and everything. And it just, that movie, everybody fit in that movie. There was a place for the hippos, and there was a place for the giraffe, and a place for the little tiny people. And so, and that's what made Cheech and Chong so popular, is that we took real people. You know, we didn't have to invent anybody. The people that we portrayed were, you know, our neighbors and people that we knew. So it wasn't a stretch at all for me.
Thank you.
So the movie was fantastic, but I also love all the more subtle call-outs that were in the movie. Some of them were subtle, like the carrot on the back of the phone, or the Zuber or mouse card, or that sort of idea. And some of them were a lot more overt, like the Breaking Bad stuff and the Frozen jokes and so on. How do you decide how do you manage all of that? Because that's really, for me as a viewer, that's really dense. And I love it, and I have no idea how you guys decide what to put in, when you decide to do it, how that creativity comes about. I find that fascinating.
Well, when we're working in the story room, we encourage all that stuff from our story artists, just from our writers, just lay it on thick. You know, it's like we had so many like puns for like joke signs for different, you know, businesses that were animal puns. And I think it's the stuff that really makes us laugh, you know, or the ones that really make us groan the most, you know, or whatever seems appropriate for the moment. It's like, then it's in, you know. There really isn't a formula or any specific recipe of doing it. It's just how much can we just create tons of it, you know, just tonnage of this stuff, you know, and just try to plug it in where it's appropriate, and then we actually have to kind of manage it and make sure, like, is that one sign in that shot, you know, it should be there, and somehow we just kind of track it with our minds too. And it's since doing this on shows like The Simpsons and Futurama, it's like it becomes just kind of an innate, you know, skill that you have in making one of these things, that you want to make sure that the whole thing, you can tell. I mean, after doing this for a while, you can tell when it's starting to go off balance, if you have too many, if you don't have enough, you know. But it's...
And there's stuff that we don't even know about. People will kind of slip stuff in and put like license plates, and if you watch the movie, there's a flashback where you see Nick as a little boy, little fox, like a kit, I guess. When he becomes a junior Ranger Scout, and his troop number is 914, and that's the birth date of the guy who did all the character designs in the movie. So it's all these little things. They're personal things. They're probably personal birth dates. There's in-jokes about our own movies that you probably saw, the Frozen jokes. We got those in there. And it's great to have a world like that where you can actually do that and play with it, because the movie begs for it, really.
Well, because the genre itself wants, it's a mirror image of like our world, is, you know, the talking animal things that's what it's all about. That's kind of the main convention of this genre. So as we were making the film, it became obvious, like, it wanted more. You know, the story wanted more of this stuff, you know, and we were happy to oblige.
Awesome.
I've got a question about character creation process. In particular, I was curious, do you pick an animal and then figure out what the personality is, or do you have a personality in mind and pick an animal? How does that kind of work when you anthropomorphize people that way?
I guess we start with sort of the story need. I guess with like the sloths are a good example, because we were we were kind of brainstorming. Okay, well, what would animals do in this world? And Jim Reardon, who's
jobs
and stuff.
What would be an interesting location for Judy to go to?
Yeah, like what are appropriate things for these animals to do? And we have two heads of story: Jim Reardon and Josie Trinidad, both really brilliant people. And Jim said, well, it's like if it was a DMV, it should be staffed by sloths. And he just sort of said it was off the cuff, and he was sort of like, that's not going to go anywhere. And we're like, oh,
wait a minute. Has that ever been done?
And like somebody has to have done that. We thought. And I was like, no one had ever done it.
Google,
and we went to Google. Has anyone ever put sloths?
Wait a minute. Did we just find something really, really cool? That hasn't been done before, and it's just kind of moments like that. And we tried to go. That was a case of going to type, with the animal, and then we would try to go against type for others, because we didn't want the world to be like a storybook animal world where they're all kind of doing their appropriate jobs and it's all very black and white, and we wanted it to be different shades of gray, that like our world, that it was more complex than like a storybook, talking animal world.
And maybe the exception to some of that is that with the lead characters, the characters are really driving the story, like Judy and Nick. Judy, we picked a rabbit because with these movies and with when we need to root for someone, you want them to be as much of the underdog as possible. So the more obstacles we could put in her way, including how cute she is. She's teeny, she's cute, and there are female cops on the police force, but they're all huge animals. There's a huge elephant, and there's female polar bears and female tigers. But Judy, as a rabbit, has this kind of ridiculous idea of being this big, tough cop in this world. And so the more you kind of go, well, that's ludicrous. She's never going to accomplish that. That's great for us, because that gives Jason's character, the cynic who grew up in Zootopia and has been sort of ground down by this world, able to kind of poke at her and kind of poke at that sort of Frank Capra idealism that she has. And it's great story fuel for us, because if we don't have that conflict, then because in that case we'll really think about that for a while, because other people in the story trust were poking at Nick's character like, well, should he be a fox or should he be like a big tiger or something that's got more sort of size contrast? But what we liked about the fox is they have this great sense of like cunning and sneakiness that you expect, and Jason was perfect for that, and their chemistry was great. But then we wanted to also keep Nick as a small predator, so that in those scenes, there's a scene where Jennifer and Jason's characters are wedged between two huge polar bear thugs in the back of a limousine, and they're being driven off to be killed. And that's great, because you want that threat to be there constantly.
As a duo, they're underdogs as well,
Yeah.
Mr. Big, right?
Thank you so much for coming over and telling us about all of this, and especially in bringing some of these other things that we won't get to see in the movie, but you obviously thought a lot about creating and how they interact with this world. Do you feel like there are more stories that you can tell in this, or are we going to get a chance to see some of these kind of realized, especially seeing how well Zootopia is doing in early reviews and things like that?
Please, Clark.
Please, come on, Clark, please.
Have some more
please.
money.
Write to Clark.
Can we make another one?
We always hope that that's where we can go. We never embark on a film thinking, how can this be something with many stories? We always focus on the main story, because we have to ultimately create the best story possible and hope the world falls in love with the characters and the world. But secretly, the hard part is, and it's at this moment in time where we all have to let go of this, right? It's going to go out into the world gets to see it, but these characters that we've spent and environments we've spent years building and creating end. And it's always hard. It's really an emotional thing to say goodbye to this cast and say goodbye to our team, because we work with 800 people, and then suddenly we're just 3 people trying to think of what's that next idea. So it is always that kind of bittersweet moment, but you do secretly kind of hope you can revisit those characters in the world, because we've had so much fun building it, and this has been such an incredible experience.
So are you guys in if we do another one? Can we count on you guys?
You want to come back to Vancouver?
Come back to
Yeah, I'll go back.
I will say that some of these stories, I'll give you an example. So the movie Clark and I worked on about 7 years ago, Bolt, is sort of a closed-ended story. The dog and the girl are happy on the farm together, and it's buttoned up, nice and clean, and you can walk away and kind of that story exists in that little envelope. This was built with so much potential. I mean, these guys, I won't spoil the end for you, but there's so much potential of where you could go with the world, and even the things we were talking about earlier, things we couldn't include that are so much fun and so compelling that when you mention them to people go, oh my God, that would be great. And then hopefully, again, we'll see how it does when it goes out in the world. But so I would love to come back to this world sometime.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I mean, as he said, it's getting critical just praise, and everyone loves it. It's saying like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Like it's crazy, and just Disney seems to be, you know, hitting on all cylinders now, and in this new golden age and stuff. It's absolutely phenomenal. You guys are just amazing. So thank you guys so much for being here. And Zootopia comes out March 4th. So go see it. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Google.